What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you are a first timer to the channel, then obviously welcome to you guys. Thank you for being here today. We are going live again to go through the watch list for Tuesday, February 21st. I send these watch lists out to you guys for free every single day. We do weekly swings, daily swings, and then I take the top 5 from those lists and I give them to the Griswold Gold members, which are in the Discord. So that link is in the description below. If you want to join the Griswold Trading Discord, go check out that link. The majority of it, like 95%, is free. So I'm just going to get a microphone, guys, here. Hold on a second. Forgot the mic. All right, hopefully that makes the sound a little better. But as I was saying, you can get in. Hey, Terry, how's it going? You can get into the Discord. There's a link in the description below. 95% of it is free, but everything that I offer, whether it's free or fee-based, can be found in that Discord. So make sure you guys go check that out. If you want to join the Griswold Gold membership, it's $50 a month, or you can buy 2 months. You get the third month free. And it includes a 1-hour strat course that I've created for you guys. Takes you from the beginning right to the end of what the strat is. Like I mentioned before, it gives you the top 5 on these lists that I go through with you guys. There's live trading bots on there, so it sends you out trade setups on ticker symbols like SPY, QQQ, DIA, Disney, CCL, NEO, Tesla, and a bunch of others. So that's included. One-on-ones with me if you need them through Zoom or Google Meets. What else is on there? There's a bunch of stuff, so you can go check it out. Everything is listed in the Discord, or I do believe there's an older version listed on my pinned tweet on Twitter, and you can find me on Twitter at Mr. Clark Griswold. It's family day, so no trading on Monday. It will resume on Tuesday, so a short week. But let's get started with the list. We're going to go to the daily chart, and again, the first one I've got on the list is NEO. So NEO has a 2 down that finished green, okay? So you see these candlestick numbers here? That's part of the Griswold Strat indicator that I've created for you guys. So it basically takes all the things that you can use on the strat for that strategy, and I put them into one indicator for trading view. So this time frame continuity here, the candlestick numbers, it paints the inside bars yellow, paints the outside bars white. That can be purchased separately. It's a $25 fee. You get the indicator for life, or it's part of the Griswold Gold membership when you purchase that as well. So NEO has the 2 down that finishes green. So when we look at the 2 candles, they're directional candles. So they either they break only the low of the previous candle, or they'll only break the high of the previous candle. So when we have a 2 down, it only breaks the low of the previous candle. But here's the thing. When it finishes green, okay, if it's a 2 down that finishes green, that gives me a higher probability that this trade is going to trend back to the upside. I'm going to put a target up here for you guys, and then we're going to make it green instead of pink. So it gives a higher probability. Now, when we open up on Tuesday, this hourly is going to change, this daily is going to change, and this weekly is going to change. Because when Tuesday opens up, it's a new hour, it's a new day, and it's a new week. Okay? So a lot of times you'll hear Rob Smith. Rob is the guy who created the strat, or at least named it. And really the reason why we're all here. But he always says let him open up. Let's see what happens. So I don't necessarily follow that or need to follow that. When I day trade, guys, or when I'm scalping, as long as this hourly and this daily are in the same direction when I take my trade, that's all I need. If I'm looking for calls, I need this hourly and this daily green. If the weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly are all green, well, that's fantastic. It gives me more probability that that trade is going to work out in my favor, but I don't need them. And the reason is because when I'm taking my trade, I'm only in that trade for, it could be a minute, but let's say 3 minutes to an hour is all I'm in that trade for. So I don't need anything more than this hour and this day in the same direction. Okay? Again, if I have more than that, again, higher probability that that trade works out for me. But so NEO has that 2 down that finishes green. So because it finishes green, I'm going to look for that reversal back to the upside. Now, a lot of people will ask, does it have to be green in order for us to have a reversal? It doesn't. You can have a 2 down red and have a reversal. You can have a 2 up green and have a reversal. Let me see if I can find an example here. Here's a 2 up green right here, and the next candle was a reversal to the downside. Okay, so we don't need this to be red. We don't need the 2 downs to be green in order to be a reversal. But based off of probabilities and looking for high probability trades, that would push us more in that direction than it would if we had a 2 down red or a 2 up green in terms of reversals anyways. So next up, we'll look at SPY. Some might call this a hammer candle. I'm not going to say this is a hammer. So what we're looking for in a hammer candle is for this wick right here to be 2 times the length of this body. Now, do we have that? We're pretty close. So you could call it a hammer candle. A shooter candle would be just the opposite. That's this. So both of those are considered actionable signals when we're talking about the strat. There's 3 actionable signals: the hammer, the shooter, or the inverse hammer, and the inside bar. All 3 of those are actionable signals, are telling us that there's a very high possibility that we have a good trade on our hands. Now, guys, if you have questions, make sure you leave them in the chat on the right-hand side. Now, I think as long as you're subscribed, you can send out questions or whatever. Feel free to ask the questions, okay, if you have them while we're going through this. If you're watching this, after we've done the live video, then unfortunately you can write in the comment section and I will get back to you. I'm usually get back to you guys within 24 hours if you guys have questions or anything. And the same thing goes for if you ask on Twitter, you can DM me there or in the Discord. So SPY has this 2 down that finished green, but we have this gap. So when I say gap, I mean there's no candle between here and here. So normally the targets would go to the tops. When we're looking for calls, the targets would go to the tops of the preceding wicks. So the top of the candle that came before it. In the case when we have a gap, please check your appointments made on the Discord. I'm not sure what that... Sorry, dude. I'm not sure what that means. Send me a DM in the Discord. When we have these gaps, you have to fill those gaps. So we're looking to... The first target is what fills that gap. And then once that gap is filled, then we can put our targets to the top of the preceding candles again. Okay, so here and here. So that's a play on SPY. We're going to look for calls there at 407.51. BAC, same thing. We've got a 2 down green, so we'll look for those calls back to the upside. And we're going to look for targets at $35.66. We move on to Citibank. Citibank, same thing. So a 2 down finish green. We're going to look for calls to the upside. Now, this is also what you call a Rev Strat. So it's basically a 2-2 reversal back to the upside, but it's preceded by this inside bar or the 1 bar. Okay? So realistically, it is just a 2-2 reversal that we're looking for back to the upside, but there is a 1 preceding it, so it is labeled as a 1-2-2 Rev Strat. We're looking for calls at 51.59 and first targets at 51.83. So my boy Prince Akeem, he just asked, do you normally wait for an actionable signal after your triggers are triggered? So if you're asking if I need an actionable signal to jump into the trade, no, I do not. If you're asking, do I need after you trigger, after we break through this line, do I need to wait for an actionable signal to jump into a trade if I'm looking on a smaller time frame like the 15 or 30? No, I do not. Is that what you're asking? And if it is, then no, it's not the case. I'll take a 2-2 reversal. I don't need it to be a hammer or a shooter candle or an inside bar. Okay, I'll take an inside bar is an actionable signal, and I do really enjoy playing those inside bars, but I typed that out weird after hearing it out loud. Yeah, a little bit. So yeah, that's if that's what you're asking, then no. I don't wait for a actionable signal. I'll take a 2-2 reversal without an actionable signal if it sets up for me, but I do need this time frame continuity. What percentage of the time frame continuity do you need? The month is down, but the hour is up. Okay, so I talked about it just earlier in this video. When I'm trading, when I do it, because my trades are usually less than an hour, I only need these first two guys. And ladies, if you're listening. I only need the hourly and the daily in my direction. If I have, you don't have to be sorry. If I have anything else, it's a bonus. It's just a higher probability that trade works out. But for me, because I'm not sitting in those trades a long time, hourly and the daily, that's all I need. Weekly swings, you're going to want more in that direction. You're going to want the weekly for sure, and you're probably going to want the monthly facing in that direction as well. So that's a play for Citibank. Calls at 51.59. We'll move on to Lucid. Lucid, same thing here, guys. We have two down that finish green. So we have a really nice time frame continuity to the upside. So calls at 10.95. This pink line is the trigger for the weekly. Okay, so my weekly triggers are always marked out in pink. We had a two down green on the weekly, and this will be in the weekly swing video. But we had a two down green, and we're looking to go two up on the week. Now, the trigger is here. If we go back to the daily, if we trigger on the day and we hit first targets on the day, well, that just changed us into a swing trade. Okay? So the day triggers the week, can trigger the month. It's a domino effect. Okay? So that's the setup on Lucid. Oracle, two down, green, hammer candle. We'll look for calls back to the upside. 87.43 is our marker there for the trigger. I'm going to get rid of this one here. Two down green on GS, and you notice on GS again, we have these two pink lines, represents an inside bar. I also know it's an inside bar because of this Strat indicator. Okay, so the weekly arrow is pointing down, but it's got a yellow circle around it. That's telling me that there is a inside bar on the weekly. So the two pink lines tell me that, which I've marked out. This yellow circle also tells me that. A lot of people trade with like multiple charts, daily, hourly, 30-minute charts on their screens. I don't do that. And you might want to do that if you're sitting in a trade a little longer. But again, for me, because I'm not sitting in that trade for a long period of time, I make my setup, I do my setups, my triggers and targets on a time frame such as the 15 or the 30. And then I manage it. I always manage my trades on the 5 guys because it reduces my risk at the most, I guess. I mean, you could go down to the 3, but the 3 gets a little choppy. So for me, the 5 minute is a perfect time frame for me to manage my trade on. Some people might do it on the 15. Some people might do it on the 10. Some people might do it on the 30 or the hourly. But for me, the 5 really works well for me. I might not gain as much as other people, but I'm definitely not going to lose very much based off of that. Okay, so inside bar on the weekly as well. We're looking for this 122 Rev Strat to the upside. Calls at 371.06. JP Morgan. And again, for those of you who just tuned in, if you want to ask questions, there's a public chat opened. I think as long as you're subscribed, you can ask the questions. So JP Morgan Chase, 122 reversal again. So a 122 Rev Strat. We also have an inside bar on the weekly. Again, the two pink lines tell me that. This yellow circle around the week also tells me that. We're going to look for calls at 142.83 on JP Morgan. We move on to Lyft. Exact same setup. Okay, 122 Rev Strat. Calls at 11.36. We also are looking to go 2 up on the week. That's what that pink line represents for us. Apple. So Apple has this 2 down that finished green. Hammer candle. I'm going to put in one more green candle here. So we're going to clone this. And we're going to bring this down. There we go. So again, I talked about this earlier. There's a gap here. So meaning there is no candle from here to the previous candle. So when we have that, we need to fill that gap. And so what we do is put our first target at that gap fill, and that becomes our first target, our first order of magnitude, okay? And then the next one just goes to the top of the preceding wick as normal. Okay, so full time frame continuity on Apple. I want to zoom out here and take a peek here because we did have well, we're stuck in a little bit of chop here on the daily, but we do have this little bit of a pullback. We do have a hammer candle. We do have great time frame continuity, so we can look for this to come back to the upside. Calls at 153. Don't front run this stuff, guys. Don't go in Monday morning if we open down here somewhere. Don't say, well, I listened to the video and he said it was going to go up. You know, Clark said it was going to go up, and I'm just going to get in early, because we may never trigger here. So wait for the trigger, okay? Don't front run it. I mean, you can front run it, but that's your risk management, and that's more gambling than what we're doing here. And I don't believe this is gambling. I always tell my daughter, she asked me one day if this was gambling, and I said, well, depends how you look at it. So the way I explain this, guys, and I'm going to take a little second here, just let me explain this. In gambling, and again, I don't gamble. Let's take a roulette table. Okay, so I put money on 19 red. I can't, once that ball is spinning, I cannot take my money out of there. If I put $100 on there, my $100 is either winning or losing. Okay? When we're looking at what we're doing here with this strategy, I can put $100 on a trade, and if it starts to go the wrong way, if that ball is bouncing, so to speak, if we're talking about roulette, if that ball is bouncing and it's nowhere near the 19, I can say, you know what? I'm out. I pull my money out. I've got a small loss. Maybe they only take, $5 or $10 out of that 100 because I pulled it out early. That's strategy. You can't do that with gambling. Okay, so as long as you are good at your risk management and you're not just saying, here's my $100, take it, win or lose. Hopefully I win. Hopefully I don't lose. That's gambling. What we're doing here is not gambling, guys. So that's the play on Apple. Black BD 100, a buy stop at the trigger is acceptable. Yeah, you can put your stop loss at the trigger, but again, when we're looking at this, I set my triggers and targets on a higher time frame. Let's say the 50-minute, and I always hop down to that 5. And once that first 5-minute bar closes, the bottom of that 5-minute bar is my stop loss. That's my first stop loss. And then if I'm continuing up in the trend of my trade, the stop loss just gets moved up. And I did it. There's a short. It takes 1 minute. You can watch it. I did it on DIA last week, and there's a full video on it as well. So I just moved my stops up. You want to put it at your trigger to start? By all means, do that. That's risk management and how you want to handle it, okay? Move on to AMC here. AMC has a 2 up that finished red, shooter candle. Okay, so we're going to look for puts at 521. First target is at 505. Yeah, so Black BD just asked manage at the reversal at the 5. That's correct. That's how I do it. Now again, that's not saying you guys have to do it exactly that way. Do what works best for you. This is what works for me. And if you want to do that and it works for you, that's awesome. I'm happy that you guys found something that works for you guys. So Boeing here, 2 down green, hammer candle. We're going to look for calls at 211.66. And realistically, there is that little gap there. Right there. There's your gap. So you need to fill that gap first. That's your first target. Calls at 211.76. We'll go to Beyond Meat, BYND, 2 down green. So we'll look for calls at 17.87. We also have an inside bar in the week. Those are my 2 pink lines. If I trigger the day and hit first targets, well, I've just gone 2 up on the week. Okay, that's how that stuff works, guys. It's a domino effect. Comcast, CMCSA. So an inside bar. We haven't really talked about these too much. Inside bars, guys. This is an actionable signal. It's what I tell people to concentrate on when they're first looking at this stuff. Okay, so an inside bar or a 1 bar, you can see the candlestick number down here. They don't break the high and they don't break the low of the previous candle. They stay within the range. It's a consolidating candle. It's a tightening range. When you see, if you have the Strat indicator, the Griswold Strat indicator, and you see this yellow bar, I want you guys to think of a spring being tightened, loaded, compacted, squished down, and compressed. And when you release that pressure, you're expecting that spring to jump up or down, and that's what we look for on these inside bars, on these yellow bars. And here is a great example where we open down here, and we triggered and we ran. Okay, this is what we look for. And again, every strategy is based off of probability. So does that happen every single time? It doesn't. Okay, it won't happen every single time. But the probabilities tell us that we have a high probability that that trade is going to work out for us. So that's what we look for on those inside bars. Again, if you're struggling with it, that's why I tell people to play the inside bars if you're new or if you're struggling, because you can take either side of it. Okay, you can take the break on either side. So you can look for calls at 39.80, puts at 38.97. The numbers are right here that I'm calling out. And that's what you'd be looking for off of that inside bar. Cisco with the inside bar, calls at 51.44, puts at $50.60. DIA, guys, I talked about DIA last week and the week before because we have this broadening formation here. Okay, higher highs, lower lows, lower lows, and we've followed it. We've had the lows, we've had the highs, we've had the lows, we've had the highs, and I said here we've tagged it again. Then we had this inside bar, look for it to come back down and tag the bottom, which is exactly what happened. So we're at the bottom of a broadening formation. We have a 2 down that finished green. This does not mean that we are going to trend all the way back up here, okay? But probability-wise, that's what it's telling us. Okay, so we have a trigger at 338.43 and a first target at 340.89 on the diamonds, DIA. Disney has a 2 down that finished green, so calls at 105.80. Inside bar on DocuSign, so calls at 66.79, puts at 63.60. Ford Motor Company also with that. This is actually a 3-1 setup, so these do not happen very often, guys. It's a rare setup, a rare pattern. Outside bar followed by an inside bar. They're highlighted with this gold highlight. It's part of the indicator I created for you guys. And we just go back in time, and to find the last one, this 3-1 went outside bar, then we had another one, and it opened and gapped up, and then came back down. I'm going to try and find one more here for you guys, up here. 3-1 gapped, 3-1 gapped. So, based on history, based off of probabilities, the 3-1s on Ford tend to gap up or, oh my God, I did it again. There we go. I fixed it. That happened the very first time I went live with you guys. Okay, so 3-1 setup. And we also have the inside bar on the weekly. Okay, that's represented by those 2 pink lines and this yellow circle again, as I mentioned before. So we can look for calls at 12.94, puts at 12.65 on Ford. Will you play a continuation up from the previous day at the open, or do you always wait? No, you can play a continuation. A lot of people don't like to play the continuations, and you know what? I'll go at the end of this, when we get to the end, I'll show you guys a ticker symbol that I would probably look at doing that on, okay? So GM, General Motors, full time frame continuity right across the board, a 2 down green with a hammer candle. So we have a lot of stuff going here for us. We're up two up on the quarterly. That's what that purple line represents. So a lot of stuff in our favor here on General Motors. Calls at 43.17 on GM. We go to GME with the inside bar, full time frame. Calls at 22.07, puts at 21.15. Our first target would be the trigger for the weekly as well. So there goes that domino effect again. IBM, 2 down green. We look for calls at 135.58. Now there is conflict because on the week, we're looking to go 2 down on the week here. So this would be a 2-2 continuation on the day, but we would also be triggering 2 down on the week, okay? So a little bit of conflict there between the day and the week. We'll see which way IBM goes. IWM, 2 down green, full time frame, so we can look for calls at 193.37. And first target puts us 2 up on the week as well and breaks us out of that inside bar. I will tell you on the weekly swings, guys, there is probably 2 or 3 tickers that have double inside bars, so they'll be interesting to watch. Lululemon, not something I normally give you guys. The spreads are wider, the premiums are larger, but we do have a 2 down green on Lululemon. We can take calls at 322.11. Facebook, 2 down green, so the calls are at 173.18. Moderna, 2 down green, calls 166.72. Here's our gap play, okay? We got to fill that gap, so the first target goes here, second target goes here to continue filling that gap, and then your next target or order of magnitude would be at the very top here. So that's on Moderna. 2 down green on Morgan Stanley. I'm going to get rid of that there. So calls at $100.02. First target at $100.24. Nike, 2 down green. Calls 124.89. This is good magnitude here, guys. Up to 127.21. That could be a really good run on Nike on Tuesday. Roku with the inside bar. So inside bar hammer candle, but it is red. So in saying that, when we have a green hammer candle, the probability is higher that it is going to trend up. When we have a red hammer candle, the probability is still for it to go up, but it gets reduced because it is red. Okay? So calls at 73.48, puts at 68.42. First target, and then the second target, you could call any one of these to start filling these gaps. Target here, and target here if we trend down on Roku on Tuesday. Starbucks, 2 down green, so we can look for calls at 107.46. First target up here. And again, we have that little bit of conflict with the weekly, because if we trigger to the downside on the daily, that just triggered us 2 down on the week. So if we go to the week to show you guys that, we're 2 up red. We're looking for a 1-2-2 rev strat on the week to the downside. So again, you could play, Starbucks is something you could play either way. You could play the 2-2 continuation down because you are playing that swing trade to the downside. Now that's not what I was going to talk to you guys about, but I will show you that coming up real shortly here. And guys, if you are helping, this stuff is helping you guys out and you find it informative and you like it, please give me a thumbs up. If you think it sucks, let me know why so I can fix it for you guys. Because I don't do this stuff for me. I do this stuff for you guys. This is for you guys to learn, for you guys to become better traders. And I really believe that this strategy is by far the easiest way to trade. There's really no indicators, and when I say indicators, I mean like there's no EMAs, there's no RSIs, there's no MACDs, there's no VWAPs, there's no EMA crossings. You don't need any of that stuff. You really only need the candlesticks, and it really is by far and away the easiest way to trade in the stock market. Okay, so Tesla here, full time frame continuity to the upside. We've got a 2 down that finished green. We've got good order of magnitude here. This is a really good setup. I'm not sure where the premiums are at because I don't normally trade Tesla, but I know they were high before. Now that it's down to this 200 range, it might be a little bit cheaper, but I'm not sure. So if someone knows, they can comment down below to help people out. But calls at 208.31 on Tesla. Black BD 100. Can you remind me what a rev strat is? Okay, so I just mentioned it a couple times on here. So basically a rev strat is just it's a reversal, but it has a 1 preceding it. So we're looking at a 1-2-2 rev strat. And I have videos on it if you want to go check them out in the Learning Tools playlist. I go through all that stuff. I basically have, guys, this channel is set up for you guys to learn the strat and everything involved with it. I've got videos on broadening formations, 1-2-2 rev strats, time frame continuity, inside bars, outside bars, trade reviews that we've gone through, what the candlestick numbers mean, right from the beginners to the advanced. So I go through everything. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you're checking out those videos because I have them here to help you guys. They're here to help you guys, okay? Tesla, from Tesla we go to WFC, that's Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo, another one, full time frame continuity right across the board, and we're going to look for calls at 47.57. First targets at 47.81. And that's the list, guys. The one I was going to show you, I believe it was CVX. So this is what I'm talking about here on CVX. So CVX has they've been in a downtrend for all year, basically. This is something that I would look at having a continuation on. If we broke down right here, if we triggered here, that's something you can take. And again, a lot of people don't like trading trading continuations. for me, it doesn't matter to me. I will trade a continuation if the trend is your friend, guys. So you're looking at CVX here. CVX has been on for the most part, a down. We've chopped around here, but it's on a downward spiral. Okay, it's coming. The other one that I want to look at here is Pfizer. So Pfizer is the same thing. Pfizer has not been good. So this is an outside bar on Pfizer, but if it was a 2 down red, I would look at trading Pfizer to the downside. We've gone 2 down on the month on Pfizer, especially. Okay, so if I go to the monthly chart, that's what those blue lines represent. They're my monthly triggers. We've gone 2 down on the month on Pfizer. So in February, we're 2 down. Okay, and it was a 2-2. That's what it was. It was a 2-2 continuation. Okay, and I marked that line out specifically for this because Pfizer has been not great. Now, a lot of times what will happen is you'll see how you have this big candle here and then the next big candle, and then they usually start to taper out and come back down. So big candle, bigger candle, we have this big long wick to the top showing that the sellers were coming in and starting to sell off, and then we have this big run. So it's something to pay attention to. I've talked about it a couple times in the Discord when we have the live chats. But you could possibly look for something there. And again, we are approaching the bottom of this broadening formation, so you could have it tag and come back up. But this is something, again, we're 2 down on the month. I would look for a continuation there if you wanted to. Now, it's not something that I talk about a lot with you guys on the 2-2 continuations, but if it's something you guys want to play, by all means, go ahead and play it. That's the video, guys. So make sure you guys, if you need extra help, ask me down below in the comment section. Ask me on Twitter. You can DM me there. Make sure you're following me there. Ask me in the Discord. Make sure you're joining the Discord and ask the questions in order to get the help that you need. Okay, I'm here to help you guys out. And realistically, guys, we are creators of our own world. We are creators in its, essentially that's what we are. We create our own worlds. What we think, we become. What we hang out with, we become. So what we surround ourselves with, we become. So be the creator of your own world. Do what you want to do, guys. But you have to. There's too many times people. I'm a very big proponent of the secret and thinking of what you think you become and positive thoughts and all that. But you can't just rely on those thoughts. It's not just the thoughts that get you there. You actually have to do some work. Okay, you can't just sit there and go to sleep thinking about how you want to be a great trader and I'm going to be a great trader and I'm going to be able to do this for my career and I want to be a day trader and I don't want to work anymore. What are you doing other than thinking those thoughts to get you into that space? Okay? Because if you're not looking at this stuff when you get home from work, and I get it, people have families, but once your kids go to bed, what are you doing? Are you sitting down watching Netflix or Prime? Or are you studying what you need to study? Okay? Studying and doing what you need to do to get where you want to be. And I'm not trying to make this a motivational video or anything, but that's essentially what it comes down to. You can think and wish and hope and think positive thoughts all you want about what you want and why you want it, but unless you take some action, those thoughts are just thoughts. There's got to be a little bit of work on your end. There are no overnight successes in this thing, or in anything, and that's the problem with society. People think that people become overnight success. Look at that overnight success. They became famous overnight. Well, they didn't. Michael Jordan got cut from his high school basketball team. One of the greatest, it's debatable, but the greatest or one of the greatest players of all time got cut from his high school basketball team. Okay? He didn't let it deter him. He went out and worked harder to get what he wanted, and he definitely got there. So make sure you guys are putting in the work on this stuff. It is easy, but it takes some time, it takes some work, it takes some effort to learn this stuff. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. I appreciate all you guys who are subscribing and tuning in every day. enjoy the rest of your long weekend if you're watching this now, or enjoy the rest of your week as we come into Tuesday, the shortened week after the long weekend. And good luck trading, guys. As always, I wish you nothing but green, and we will see you guys all on